to the SA Sports Show. We just had a great chat with David Wildy. Now, David Wildy's a terrific player, good footballer, great cricketer. Lucky to still be alive. I'll tell you that story one day about David Wildy fielding at short leg one day. Whoa, okay. Now, it's a tribute to Russell Ebert, and Wills was great with what he said. But
good friend, yeah.
This was an interview done some time ago, Ando, that I caught up with Russell in the conference room down at Port Adelaide, the footy club. And this is part one. You'll really enjoy this because Russ really opens up about his career. We've had many terrific guests on our show over the last period, but none greater than this one here. And I'm going to welcome to the SA Sports Show one of the greats of South Australian football, Russell Ebert. Russ, welcome to the SA Sports Show. We've been chasing you like a rabid dog.
And described like that sometimes. No, it's great to be on the SA Sports Show, Baz.
And great to see you again, mate.
Just watch it most weeks, and I catch up when I don't see it. So
you would have seen
wonderful.
You would have seen some good guests. There's been some terrific guests on the show.
Yeah, I've seen some that really have a fitness program, and some that I don't think have got a fitness program. And I noticed the lens went out a little bit wider, but that's fine. That's fine.
First of all, mate, congratulations on your 50 years. Now, that only just came up in the last couple of weeks. 50 years service to the football club, to Port Adelaide, along with our boot stutter, Alfie Trebilco. But nice fella to actually share it with, I would reckon, for you. But 50 years, mate, that is a long time at the footy club. It's been a very big part of your life.
Huge part, Baz, and I was really pleased that we could do it as a club with Alfie, because he's been there for the whole journey.
Yeah.
And we've had many accolades, pats on the back, exposure, etc., and been paid for what we do.
Yes.
But Alfie's done it voluntarily. Yeah. So for someone to give 50 years of voluntary service while they're running a butchering business, while they're raising a young family, to come down and be involved in any organisation, but as the boot stutter and important piece of equipment, and Alfie's looked after him for 50 years, so it was just absolutely brilliant that he got the acknowledgement too for his service.
All right, let's start with year one. You're a Waikerie kid, and you were invited to Port Adelaide. You were invited down to train and see what happens. Now, you came along with another one of my favourite players, in Bruce Light, in the car down to Albany. Want to run us through that, Russ? What happened there?
Oh, well, it really started in Loxton, moving there in 1956 from the farm, and massive flood for those who remember 56, and we moved into Loxton and finished my schooling and my junior footy at Loxton and joined the Savings Bank of South Australia. And then in those days you spent a couple of years in a country branch because you were home, you were comfortable. It was good for the branch to have a local person in there because the people would come in and say good day and do their banking. But then I got transferred after 9 months to Waikerie in September 1966. So I finished my senior Colts. And then the next year, I'm in a different town, a town that we beat quite convincingly in everything, from school sports to cricket to footy, etc. So I'm thinking, I've gone from the Loxton Tigers, 6-time premierships, down to Waikerie. However, it was the best move that I could possibly have made because Waikerie weren't quite as strong in the A-grade competition, and I honestly believe I wouldn't have made the senior Loxton side in 1967. Yeah. But Waikerie, being an improving team, I played in their A grade, and we had Don Guerin, who played for Sturt down here. He was a local school teacher. He coached us and coached us very well. We had a couple of lads come up from the Barossa and Light to play, and we had a pretty good team in 67 as Waikerie. We went through and we did reasonably well. We didn't make the grand final, but through that year a lot of the lads got noticed because we were winning games of footy. And a few scouts around the place lived locally, some didn't, some came through and had a look and reported back to Alberton that there were a few lads up there that could actually play. So got the invitation to come down here. It was made pretty easy because Kim Lehman was playing for North Adelaide and commuting, and Bruce Light, as you mentioned, was living and working in Waikerie but playing footy down here, and he'd come down the year before to play, so it was pretty comfortable to jump in the car and come down to Albert and just to try out. And I thought I'll have a couple of training runs just to satisfy them all, and then I'll go back to Wakery or Loxton and be happy ever after in the country, and whatever happens then. Well, 50 years later, I'm bloody still here.
That's right.
Bloody still here.
So,
yeah, it was great because the first 6 months I couldn't get a transfer on the bank. So Bruce and I were commuting every Tuesday night.
Okay.
He'd pick me up or I'd pick him up at 3 o'clock when the bank closed, and down we'd come, train, then go back, train with the local team on Thursday night, and then come down again on Saturday to play league footy.
Wow. A long-haired full forward. That's how I remember you when you first started, 69, 68, 68, 69. A long-haired full forward.
Well, I didn't have too long a hair, Baz. It wasn't as short as yours, but Mum used to cut our hair, so it was short.
Yeah.
The length came a little bit later when the sideys came in, and I remember a blonde chap playing cricket for South Australia and frequenting the bar over here that had longer hair than we did.
Yeah,
it was yours truly. But yeah, came down and it was interesting because as you train with these fellas, like that, won premierships and they were senior men, and I thought, I suppose I'll either go back to Wakery or I'll play B grade. But then Eric Freeman got in the test team to Tour England, 67, 68.
Yeah.
So I thought, there's an opportunity at full forward. So when Foss asked me where I'd played, I said, I'd played a little bit up forward. And he said, there's a spot there. So he gave me a chance in the trials and kicked a couple of goals, and then went on from there at full forward.
Yeah, okay. A bit of a lean period between 69, as far as premierships go with the club, and one of the great photos of the club's history is you holding up the 77 Premiership Cup. What are your memories of, first of all, the drought, but then the actual premiership?
Yeah, well, as I say, we had a really experienced side. The majority of them had played in premierships in the mid to late 60s. And coming down in 68, we made the grand final. And I thought, the history's just going to continue. Sturt beat us in 68, and then North beat us in 71 and 72. And then John Cale took over for the 74 season, and then we were preliminary final, and then we made the grand final in 76, and I thought, you beauty. We've won everything during the year. Timmy Evans is kicking goals and everyone's playing well. Well, we got in the grand final, easy way through, and then Sturt got hold of us and embarrassed us in 76. So I actually thought, along with a few others, talking to Darryl Cale and talking to Alfie, that, maybe we're the jinx, because we've been here and we've played in grand finals and we just can't win them.
Yeah.
So 77 was a year where we just all collectively as a club said, no, enough's enough. We've been embarrassed in 76. We've lost 71 and 2 and 68. Enough's enough. 77's going to be our year. So we played pretty strong, ruthless footy. No matter who we played, we didn't care. They were just standing in our way to make the grand final and win a bloody flag.
Win a flag.
So on that day was excitement, it was relief, it was a culmination of all that hard work that everyone on and off the field had put in. We'd recruited really well, and that day was the day of achievement, of redemption, of all of us then being premiership players and the club getting back on that premiership track.
Yeah, okay, that's 77. 79, I want to talk to you about 79 very quickly. You were recruited by North Melbourne. You would have been chased by a lot of clubs at that stage, playing great footy, but you would have been chased by a million VFL clubs back then, but never went. All of a sudden, 1979, Russell Ebert goes to North Melbourne. How did that come about?
Well, as you say, a lot of the South Australian lads were chased and hounded, and in the early days you could sign a form and it held you for 2 years to the club that you signed that form with, and then it was open. So some of the players, they just, every 2 years, they had a bonanza because they got paid to sign this form. And it only said, if you come to Victoria, you will play for this club. So they just let it lapse after 2 years and then signed another one and then let that lapse. So I didn't do any of that. I just said, no, I'm with a successful club. We're playing state footy most years and we're playing finals footy. What could be better than this? But in '79, I realised I was turning 30 that year, and the recruiting chap, Ron Joseph, said, I'm sick of coming over to South Australia, to Adelaide, to talk to you about coming over. Either you do it this year or I'm not coming back. And I thought, oh, right. Listened to a couple of other players say, oh no, I never regretted going to Victoria, but I knew they did in private conversation. So I thought, well, this is my last chance, and we've achieved a lot here with this successful club. I'm going to go over and give it a crack. But I couldn't move over because I had a young family, so I just commuted. Flew over to train Tuesday and back Tuesday night, and then over Thursday with the family and trained and played and flew back Saturday night after a game.
We're going to talk a bit more about that, folks. We're going to take a break, but don't go away. Part 2 of Russell Ebert coming up.